What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Breaking Bet here on this Thursday, March 12th, almost halfway through the month already. Where's the time going? Maybe my guy John Bowman can answer that question for me as we're kicking off conference play across the board. Some major matchups starting this week after a horrendous board last week.
Yeah, it seems like we're finally into conference play for just about every team this weekend. Brutal board last week. Had to find some ways to bet those games. A lot of parlays. This week, it seems like there are a lot of really good matchups.
Yeah, and I think it's not just from a betting perspective where we have a surplus of availability, but it's really the fact that we're starting the meat and potatoes of the season, of the regular season. It's obviously conference play started for pretty much every other conference. I think Big Ten and ACC was last week for the most part. But now everybody's kicking off here. We got Big 12, we got SEC joining the party. And if you haven't taken a look at what the board is showing in terms of odds and matchups tomorrow, I'd highly suggest doing that because we have a lot of great contests that we're going to be able to see. So, I think it's important from a betting perspective, but even still, just from a college baseball perspective itself. But John, let's preview this Friday night slate here. But before we do that, guys, make sure you're locking down the college baseball VIP Discord. We're really hitting off the last couple of weeks, and look. SEC play starting, Big 12, all the conference play. Get in, come win with us. We're putting out a really good card for tomorrow. It's already up in the Discord. Lock in with us, dubclub.win/_JohnnyVTV/ log into Twitter, hit that bio. All right, John, with the Friday night slate, it's a big difference from last week where there just really wasn't that many good contests, not a lot of bettable lines. But here we just have so many. What's catching your eye? Where are you looking at first? Is there a particular type of betting that you're doing from either straight bets or parlays, or what's the story with you?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of options this week. Like I said, like last week, there were a lot of, heavy favorites, and you kind of had to find ways to parlay them, if you were going to make those plays. This week, we've got a ton of teams, honestly, a lot of pick'ems, a lot of short home dogs. So there are a few teams that I've been looking at and a few unders that I've been looking at, depending on where the numbers come out. But I think we got a lot of options this week.
Yeah. To be fair, this is like one of those weeks where your eyes get big. It's like going into a buffet and you're like, what am I going to attack first? And I think a good little warm-up here is going to be a big ACC matchup with Florida State at Wake Forest. FSU is a -160 favorite at Wake. John, do you feel like Wes Mendez and FSU should be this big of a number at Wake Forest and projected Blake Morningstar? Or are you leaning here with the Demon Deeks?
So, I mean, if you look at these two teams, neither team has really played anyone. And a lot of times you get fooled seeing these teams come into these games like 15-1, 16-0, 14-2, whatever they're at, and it's like, okay, this team is dominant. But I think you also have to look at their big wins. And Florida State played their toughest test midweek, and they lost to Florida. They always seem to lose to Florida. Wake Forest had a tough test against Coastal, which was probably their toughest game, and they lost midweek too. So obviously, midweek games aren't the best way to, determine the caliber of these teams. But I think I'm looking at Wake Forest at plus money here just because both these teams are off to such good starts. I'm going to go with the home dog in a game that I think could go either way.
Yeah, look, man, I'm not rushing to the window. I probably need a little bit more time here, but early look is going to be with Wake Forest and the plus money at home. Blake Morningstar had a pretty bad start to the year against Houston and Puerto Rico opening day. 3 innings, 4 earned. Then the following week against Siena, 4 innings, 6 earned. But the last 2 weeks, he's bounced back nicely. 13 innings, only 1 earned. Did pretty good against Stanford, 11 Ks, 2 walks. And Blake Morningstar is the kind of guy that when he's on, he can give you 6 shutout innings and strike out a dozen. And, look, man, Florida State, the big thing with them coming into the year, they lost a lot of firepower, on both the mound and at the plate, but they are returning some guys. Miles Bailey was one of our preseason Golden Spikes guys. Hunter Carnes, Cal Fisher, like they have some guys that could swing it. I just don't feel as confident in this Florida State team right now laying this big of a number against a pitcher like Morningstar. Now, granted, Wake Forest ballpark is a bandbox. It's a great place to watch a game. I watched Super Regionals there in 2023 against Alabama, but a routine pop-up can just carry out of there. And Wes Mendez for FSU has been great. It's been an awesome start, but face JMU, face the Citadel, face Michigan, Northern Kentucky, so it's not much of a test here. And Wake has some guys that could swing it. I just think in the opening weekend, I'm probably leaning a little bit more in the way of Wake Forest with the plus money. Nothing official yet, but I just think laying -160 with FSU is it's a little rich in my opinion. What's up, Dilly? All right, Tennessee, Georgia. That is a big one. So Tegan Kuhns, who's actually been pretty good. He's stepping into the Friday night role nicely. Stuff is live. He's going to be going up against one of the top offenses in the nation, Georgia Bulldogs, who are -180 with Joey Volchko going. Stanford transfer, guy who could be a first rounder this year. Hella live arm. -180 a good price to you? Or you think Tennessee and Tegan Kuhns are a worthwhile dog?
Yeah, I think this one I'm just staying far away. I was not very high in Tennessee coming into the season, and they've had a few letdowns to start the season. Same idea with Georgia. I did think they were a better team, but they've also had some letdowns. They haven't reached their full potential yet. So I think these are two teams that, could figure it out, but aren't playing their best baseball right now. And I'm just going to stay away from this game.
Look, man, I like Tennessee, but you and I were both all over this preseason. Neither of us love Tennessee to really contend for the College World Series title. Didn't mean that they wouldn't be good. Didn't mean that they couldn't make like a super regional. But when you lose Tony V, you can't stress this enough. Like, that's your guy. He was the standard in college baseball in terms of coaches. Like there's 5 or 6 guys that are the standard, and he was in that bracket. Josh Elander's a good coach. He's been with the team for a while. You bring in Chuck Girolman from Florida, fantastic pitching coach, but there's just a gap. And Tennessee's got a ton of talent. That's not in question. It's just the cohesiveness of them as a unit right now is not there. I mean, they lost to Kent State a couple weeks ago. Granted, Kent State's a really good mid-major. That could be potentially a Murray State type of team this year as a mid-major. Barely squeaked it out against Wright State last week. And again, Wright State is a pretty solid mid-major. But if you're Tennessee, these are the teams that you need to just be destroying, especially as conference play nears. And against a lineup like Georgia, let's put it in perspective as well. Tegan Kuhns and Tennessee, when they played UCLA a few weeks ago down at Globe Life, UCLA mashed them. And Tegan Kuhns pitched pretty well. Like he gave up 4 earned over 6, struck out 10. And like he was in that game. The final stat line doesn't even look as good as he really pitched. And they still put up double-digit runs. I think it's fair to say that Georgia offense is in that same realm of UCLA 1 through 9. Like Daniel Jackson is on another planet. He's got 14 home runs right now. He's maybe the hottest hitter in college baseball. They have a ton of these guys that can put the ball over the fence. Especially Foley, bro, like feed the trees. And the fact is, when Georgia is in one of these offensive grooves, even against Kuhns, you score 4 or 5 runs. You got Joey Volchko on the mound, who's been really good, and it looks like he's much improved from last year. I understand -180 is a big number against a guy like Kuhns and Tennessee who can score, but the truth is, until Tennessee figures it out, And I'm seeing legitimate proof that the Vols are consistently playing good ball and winning games. I'm not running to the window to bet them, as tempting as it is to take this plus money price. I'm going with Georgia. That's an official pick for me. I don't love the minus 180. If we lose it with Volchko on the mound in game one, so be it. But I think Georgia, in my opinion, should and will close a little bit closer to minus 200 here. Let's get to a pick 'em. Notre Dame at Louisville. John, I, me, you, we were all over Jack Riddell and the Fighting Irish last Friday against Duke. It was a no-doubter. Jack Riddell absolutely dealt. He's been one of the top pitchers in the country to start the year. This is a guy that's putting his name in the first round contention. Could be a guy that goes in the mid to late 20s come July. Even though Louisville has a really good offense, and Ethan Eberle, who's projected to go, who's been their Friday guy to start the year, has really done well. 2.61 ERA, like he's bounced back nicely after the opening weekend with some of the command issues. I can't fade Jack Riddell. I know Notre Dame's offense isn't fantastic, but they got some guys that are putting up some numbers here. And Bino Waters, their star player, hasn't even really gotten off to a great start. He's been solid, but they have other guys that are producing. I like Notre Dame to edge this one out here at a pick 'em. And I don't love that we have to go on the road again, but man, I can't fade Jack Riddell right now, bro. I really can't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think I would lean Notre Dame here. I believe Zion Rose is back for this game. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm. I think he was back in the midweek. I think
back in the midweek game. So he should
too.
be okay. So he should be in for this weekend as well. That's obviously a big addition for Louisville, one of their best hitters, if not their best hitter. But yeah, I mean, I think it's the same idea as last week. I'm not too high on Louisville. Louisville was very, they were ranked pretty high to start this season. I think their run last year helped a lot of that, but they've struggled with pitching. They even struggled with pitching last year. They just kind of got the timely pitching. So I would lean Notre Dame here on the road. I'm still going back and forth of whether I'm going to play it or not.
And just in case anybody's thinking, I don't think this is a parlay piece by any stretch. I think this is just a straight pick 'em because, look, there's a gap with Notre Dame. They're getting real contributions from about 3 or 4 hitters, which is good, but it's obviously been on the back of Jack Riddell and him having to go like 6 shutty or 7 innings, 1 run, which he's doing. But even against a Louisville offense that is as talented as they are, I cannot fade what Jack Riddell is doing. Just no chance that I'm going to do it until we see a realistic regression over 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. I'm going to keep riding the Jack Riddell train. Let me tell you something. He's gaining national mainstream buzz, especially in draft circles. And like some of that, I would think could be coming from us and other college baseball handicappers and contributors. But now it's to the point where I wonder if sports books are going to start looking at Notre Dame Friday nights as a less of a dog, if that makes sense. Whereas like the last couple of years, you get Notre Dame against, say, a Florida State. And Florida State might be like a minus 220 favorite or minus 240, whatever the case is, and you're leaving Notre Dame in the plus 170 range. Now it could be more along the lines of Notre Dame's a plus 105 underdog. It's a Jack Riddell effect. All right, what about Alabama, Kentucky? I'm actually seeing this line is stale. Let me update it real quick. This opened at a minus 115 pick'em. Within the last 2 hours, I'd say, it moved to Kentucky minus 154. Kentucky is taking heavy steam. Do you think it's fair Kentucky should be taking this much steam, or are you buying Alabama now in a plus 120 price?
I mean, I think it's fair. A lot of people are very high on Kentucky to start this season. and they haven't really played anybody besides, they've had some midweek matchups, but no one to really, see how good this team actually is. And I'm not a big fan of Alabama either. This is kind of that SEC matchup where it's two teams that I'm not too high on, and I think this could go either way. So I guess I'd lean Kentucky. That's too juicy for me though. But like if I had to make a play on this game, I'd probably go Kentucky. But I just don't like paying that juice for them.
I mean, it differs the handicap now, because when I made these lines up, it was 115. And then I had to adjust to 130. And then it jumped to 145, I think. Now it's 154. And it's probably going to keep going. But we could see Kentucky realistically close minus 180, minus 195. That is firmly in the possibilities. I would say if you like Kentucky, this is pushing it. This is absolutely as far as I will go in Kentucky. Any more, I think this is getting a little out of hand. So I'll tell you why I like Kentucky and why I like Alabama. I like Kentucky for two reasons. Number one, the Jackson Jelkin pickup was huge. We talked about that in the preseason. I love Jackson Jelkin at Houston a couple years ago. This is a stud. This is a guy that, unless you follow the sport, you don't really know much about, because he didn't really pitch at a big-time program. He wasn't one of these first-round draft picks, but he is talented, dude. Like this is a guy that is earning himself some money and could realistically be a day two pick. Now, Jelkin through 3 starts, and he didn't pitch last week, so I'm wondering if anything happened. But through 3 starts, he's only given up 6 earned over 21 1/3. It's a 2.53 ERA. 26 Ks to 4 walks in 21 1/3. I don't know if they just gave him a rest last week or what, but assuming it is Jelkin, the way he's been going as the Friday night guy in the SEC, coming over from Houston, which I think he sat out all of last year with an injury. I love what I'm seeing. And quite frankly, bro, the Kentucky offense, I thought coming to the year was going to be good. The big question was, what does their power look like overall? But they're going to be able to hit. They're going to be able to run the bases and do what a typical Nick Mingione program does, and play the fundamentals well disciplined. And if you remember, I actually had Kentucky as just outside the cusp for my Omaha 8 picks. I had them in the mix because I thought this could be a team that's really good. Now with Alabama, their offense is legit, man. Justin LeBron's off to a fantastic start. They have bats in the lineup. Tyler Fay is their Friday night guy. He's been doing really well thus far. He's pitching right now to a 4.57 ERA, but it's a little bloated because he gave up 5 earned in his first start. But since then, it's been pretty good. But again, like you said, they haven't really played anybody. But Fay's done a 26K to 5 walk ratio. Now, look, man, I think Alabama is definitely a live dog, especially now at the price. It's a good price. But the truth is, I don't know if I trust Fay enough. And I think just the way Kentucky's been pitching and their approach, they're at home here. I like the Wildcats. I would say, though, if you like Alabama, I'd probably wait, because this line is going to get bigger and you're probably going to get a better price on them. All right, John, LSU Vandy. I actually noticed as well, so I do apologize for the delay, but LSU is gone from a minus 125 favorite to a minus 140 favorite. Where's the cutoff point for LSU, or are you looking at Vanderbilt?
Yeah, I like LSU here. I don't know if I'm going to play it, but I think this is more two teams that have been seriously underperforming. And LSU is kind of like, I think they're a good team. I know they're a good team. They're just not playing well right now. Vanderbilt, I just truly don't think is a very good team. And they're not playing well right now. So, it's a battle of underperforming teams this early in the season, but I like LSU here on the road just because, like I said, I think they're the better team. I just don't know, which team's going to show up. Neither of these teams have been playing great right now. So I would lean LSU. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it a play.
I went with LSU officially. I put an official play for LSU, and it really comes down to the offense. I think the offense is a big enough advantage against Vanderbilt. And Connor Fennell's throwing, projected to throw. You think he throws. He's awesome. I had a chance to actually see Connor Fennell pitch in person last year against A&M in March. And that was, if I'm not mistaken, his first career start. That was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. I specifically wanted to fly down for that game one because I wanted to see J.D. Thompson against Ryan Prager. But ended up getting Fennell, and I was like, wow, this kid's unbelievable. It was like the first real look you got at him as a starter for Vandy. Now, Fennell, I mean, he's off to a really good start, bro. 30 Ks to 3 walks in 21 in the third. ERA's 3.8. It's a little bit high. He did get touched a little bit against Irvine, 5 innings, 3 earned. But I mean, really, like, the ERA seems a little bit more bloated. But the truth is, like, this kid is unbelievable. Strikeouts walk ratio is insane. And it's weird because he's only topping out at like 91, maybe 92. The changeup's unreal. The secondaries are great. The command is great. But at the end of the day, like what we've seen from Fennell, like say he gives you 5 innings, 6 innings of 2 or 3 run ball. Casey Evans can match that. Even though Evans hasn't lived up to the Friday night jump coming over from the Swiss Army knife Sunday guy last year, which it's not unbelievable to say that. You know, Evans has still been solid overall outside of the first start. He hasn't gotten that deep into games, but the strikeout stuff's there. The command's been overall pretty good. And I just think there's a huge advantage with LSU on the offensive side. Yeah, bring that up. GT 10 rules, run rules, Clemson. By the way, for anybody that didn't catch it, Georgia Tech opened as a -180 favorite and closed as a -105 dog. Actually closed at +108 on FanDuel. Gave that out in the Discord. That was a rocking chair winner. Run rules, it is. But, John, I think LSU is good here. I probably would say -150 is the absolute most that I would take them at. Because, again, we're still going against Connor Fennell at home here. All right. Walk me through this Mississippi State-Arkansas game. This is probably one of the best games on the slate tomorrow. Arkansas, we've seen some push-pull with them. Gabe Gackel's on the mound against Mississippi State, who is a buzzsaw right now. Could realistically say they're the third best team in the country behind Texas and UCLA, sending Ryan McPherson to the hill.
Yeah, this one, you know, I think Mississippi State's been playing better. And I think they have the better starter right now. Geckel hasn't gotten off to the best start. Ryan McPherson has been straight up dominant so far this season. Yeah. I like Mississippi State on the road here. I would also look at an under depending on where it is. If it's one of those super low, like 9.5s, 10.5s, I'd probably stay away. But something around 11.5, maybe 12, I'd probably go for it. Because I think Ryan McPherson is going to dominate. I know both these teams have very good bullpens, but I'm just not sure about Geckel. So I think right now my favorite play would be Mississippi State in the money line.
Yeah, so this is definitely a challenging one because you have a team like Mississippi State who's red hot, and you have a team like Arkansas where we've seen the inconsistencies. But it's still Arkansas. It's home. You have a flamethrower like Gackel going. Look at Ryan McPherson. I mean, dude's been pretty good. 1.96 ERA, 28 Ks, 5 walks in 23 innings. Absolutely shut down Arizona State. That's really the only test that he's seen. But, I mean, he looks every bit of a Friday night ace. It's very cool to see these guys who were either Sunday guys the year before or midweeks or bullpen guys make the jump to the Friday night role, and they're succeeding. And Ryan McPherson is proving that. Now you're going to get an Arkansas team who does have talent on the offensive side, even after getting gutted last year. But again, we're seeing a lot of these just flat out misses from the Razorbacks at times. And the thing is, with the consistency that Mississippi State's playing with, it is just really difficult to bet against that right now. And John, like you said, Gabe Gackel he's a stud. He's a flamethrower. He's a guy that's going to be a first rounder this year. But there are times where he gets himself into trouble. He shortens up on the outings because he's just a little bit too inefficient. And, granted, he's off to a great start this year. I mean, it's a 2.61 ERA, 27 Ks, 6 walks, 20 and 2/3. Really hasn't seen a meaningful offense. Oklahoma State first weekend was a little bit brutal. I mean, they've gotten back to it. Did good against Stetson. That was a good start. But I just think Mississippi State right now is they're on a different tier than every other team in the country except for Texas and UCLA. So while I could see Arkansas obviously winning this one at home behind Gackle, I think Mississippi State at a short favorite price on the road is definitely a solid look. Again, I'm not going to parlay this one. I think this is a solid straight up bet. All right, what are you doing here with Southern Miss at Arkansas State? Minus 230, probably a little bit too big to be playing outright. Throwing in a parlay, who you think about putting them with?
Yeah, it's a tough one for me because I'm an Arkansas State believer. They're playing good baseball. They're beating some good teams and they're playing consistently right now, but no one's been better or more consistent against the best competition than Southern Miss so far this season. I think other than Texas, you could make an argument that Southern Miss should be ranked 2 in the nation because of their wins. A lot of these teams, these top teams will schedule cupcakes early in the season, especially midweek, to try to get their team in a rhythm. Southern Miss has not done that. They've done the exact opposite, and they've beaten some very good teams. So I think based solely on wins, they could be 1 or 2 in the nation. That being said, I don't like this number for them on the road. Like I do think Arkansas State steals one of these games, but I still think Southern Miss wins the series. So I'm probably going to stay away from this first game and then maybe hit Arkansas State later in the series. But it's really hard to fade Southern Miss right now.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm going with USM. I'm putting them in a parlay. I don't love it straight. 230 is a little rich, but look, man, like you said, Southern Miss is on a tear right now. They beat Ole Miss in the midweek. They meet Mississippi State in the midweek. They took one from Oregon State. They took a series from UC Santa Barbara after losing game 1 against Jackson, Florida. Like, this is a really good team. This is by far the best mid-major team in the country, I think. I don't think it's close. USM is playing with real dominance right now. And Arkansas State, look, man, they're no sleeper. They're no sleeper. Like, this is a capable mid-major as well. It's just USM's on a different planet right now in terms of execution and just overall juice and talent right now. I do think USM minus 230 is a good leg in a parlay this week. We could touch on some other teams that a little later in the show that maybe you'd want to pair them with. What do you think about pairing them with West Virginia? Minus 180 at Baylor. It was a weird week for the Mountaineers last weekend. Looking for a bit of a bounce back here. Baylor's been a train wreck at times this season. Think West Virginia gets back on the wagon?
So this is an interesting one because West Virginia, I think, is a solid team, but they haven't really been sweeping teams. I believe it was the first weekend of the season they got a sweep, and then against these worst teams, they've given up 1. I believe it's each of the weekend series. Baylor, they have some solid wins. I mean, they beat Ole Miss. They've lost to some really good teams. Like, their losses are Oregon State, Purdue, Southern Miss, Texas, UTSA. You throw Tarleton in there, which isn't a great loss, but all those other ones are legit losses, and they've beaten every other team they've played. Granted, the wins, you beat Texas State, Ole Miss, like I mentioned. So they have beaten some good teams. I think, once again, they win at least one of these games at home against West Virginia. I just don't know which one. I got to see the pitching matchups, and, I think we'll go from there, and maybe I end up playing Baylor this first game, but I think at some point this week I'll end up playing Baylor.
So it should. Yeah, all right. So it looks like it's going to be Dawson Montiza in this first game here. I mean, overall, he's been good. I think he got rocked last week. Just got to check his stat line from last week, but I think It was one bad start, if I'm not mistaken. It was last week. Let me see. Yeah, it was last week. Okay, so he gave up 5 earned over 4 innings against Columbia. That's like we saw a lot of SEC teams face plant last week. Maybe it's a look ahead spot to conference play starting, and maybe that's what it was here for Monteza and the Mountaineers. But I mean, this guy's been great, dude. 31 Ks, 7 walks in 21 innings. Obviously, the ERA is at 4.71. It's a little bit misleading considering a bad start he had. It wasn't great at Liberty, but look, man, Baylor actually hasn't been that bad overall. They've lost against good teams, but they have been close. So I was wrong. I was calling Baylor a train wreck. I do apologize, but I just feel like West Virginia gets back on track here. I like West Virginia. I thought they were an interesting team coming in because the Steve Savis team always is contending. Minus 180. I don't know if I'm playing it straight up, if I have that kind of confidence in it, but I think maybe a parlay piece with USM is not that bad. I actually wrote this game up here on RotoWire. That'll be coming out tonight or tomorrow. Texas A&M, Oklahoma, 50-50 pick'em game. You like Oklahoma here, or you like Texas A&M?
I think I like Oklahoma. There's both these teams are pretty good. They've gotten off to really good starts, and both teams have really good aces. I think I'm just a bigger believer in Oklahoma. After last year, Texas A&M season, I kind of want to see them prove it first before we start, picking them in these really good, really close matchups. I think I would look at an under 2 here, depending on what the number is. So, I think I would go Oklahoma and look at the under as well.
Yeah, I give out Oklahoma, and I'll tell you why. The elevation of Cam Johnson, the arc of Cam Johnson, it's been awesome. It's been the reason why we love college baseball. This is a guy who was a huge recruit and get for LSU. Didn't really see much. Transfers to Oklahoma last year. Starts out in the Sunday role, gets some action, just wasn't really living up to the billing. But between that time and opening day, I don't know what Skip Johnson did, but he transcended this talent. Like Cam Johnson was a very big overthrow. Like this guy, by the way, this is a 6'6", 256-pound Haas. This kid is hitting triple digits as a lefty, and he was so max effort. But Skip Johnson just tweaked some stuff and mechanically and got him to just be a little bit more efficient and effortless. Now, instead of trying to hit 100 every time, he's sitting 93 to 97 and getting far better results, drawing a ton of swings and misses, getting good secondaries. Like, he looks great. He looks like a brand new pitcher. And when you have that against a Texas A&M lineup who realistically could have 3 first-rounders this year with Caden Sorrell, or as I like to call him, instant offense, IO, Gavin Grahovac, and Chris Akopian, which not sure if he's going to play. That's up in the air. No, he's been battling a back injury.
I think I saw something that said he was probable.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
that's obviously a big
he's
get
back this weekend.
You need that guy. You have a guy that can mix in, out, up, down with multiple different pitches. The big thing for him is, he's got to make sure he's limiting the home run ball because he has somebody like Caden Sorrell that could turn the game in a flash. But the walks have been cleaned up for him. He looked really good. And then the offensive side, man, Oklahoma's doing really well. They're not a team that's going to bludgeon the baseball to death. They're not a team that's going to be hitting 115 home runs, or at least likely not going to. But they will kill you on the bases. They will kill you. Reggie Willits has instilled that from day one. and they're already at 56 bags. They're top 5 in the country right now, and they're going against Shane Tadeo. Man, Tadeo was a stud as a Sunday guy in 2024 for tearing his UCL in the Super Regionals against Oregon, and missed all last year. But he's come back strong, dude. He looks good. Mid 2.5 ERA. Like, he's only got 2 walks. Like, this is a guy that does not walk guys, which is big against an Oklahoma lineup. But the reason why I like Oklahoma at home, I just think they're a little bit more well-rounded front to back. I don't know if I trust this Texas A&M pitching staff. Like, if Sadeo gives up 2 or 3 runs, who's going to come in after him and shut the door? Like, they have a couple guys, but I just think Oklahoma's got a slight pitching advantage here, and I just like their approach on offense a little bit more. Look, I think the 50-50, 115 pick'em is a fair price. It's actually true to market value. I think it is a true indication of what we could see. We could realistically see a 6-5 game or a 5-3 kind of ball game. I just think Oklahoma in this one is a slight advantage. And John, I got to tell you this. Tell me if I'm wrong. Whether they win or lose tomorrow, I'm going right back to the well on Saturday because LJ Mercurius from UNLV and his 0.39 ERA is lurking. Kid has been unbelievable. I think Oklahoma is going to at least get one of these first 2.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I think they're the team that's proven it so far this season. And they've played 3 legit teams and lost to, I want to say 2 of them. So yeah, I'm not totally sold on A&M so far. Oklahoma, I think, is legit.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I didn't think Oklahoma was going to be that good. They had a lot of question marks, but look, man, they play their game really well. Pitching, small ball, running the hell out of the bases. All right, let's get to Ole Miss and Texas. So are you surprised at all that Texas is only minus 220 at home with the way Ruger Riojas is throwing?
I think there's still the Hunter Elliott tax. Even though he hasn't gotten off to a good start this season, he hasn't pitched well. But I still think, Ole Miss Friday nights are a bet that's been ingrained in a lot of college baseball bettors' minds because, they're going to have Hunter Elliott going. So I think that's a little bit there. Texas, I think, though, is just a wagon. I don't see them losing this game. I think they definitely win this series, and I wouldn't be surprised if they sweep. They're still undefeated. They're the best team in the nation, in my opinion. I think they're going to continue to roll with that pitching staff.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think Texas, look, Texas was one of my main preseason College World Series winners. They've done nothing to disprove me. I mean, it literally is them and UCLA right now up here. You can maybe put Mississippi State in there, but everybody else is down here. Now, 220 is not a bad number. I agree with you. Look, the Hunter Elliott tax is real. Plus 170 with Hunter Elliott, even on the road, even at Texas, is still tempting. But you're right. He hasn't been great. 3.66 ERA, 15 walks in 19 2/3. I just, against Missouri State, walked 6, gave up 4 earned. Texas is a different animal right now. Ruger Riojas has been a different animal. I mean, I don't know what the hell happened to him from last year. Like, Max Wiener really, really worked his magic because he was a good Sunday guy. And then once Jared Spencer went down and he got promoted, I think he got promoted to the Friday night role. It wasn't as good. But then this year as a Friday night guy, this guy is humming. He is mowing offenses down. He's actually got 3 straight starts with 10 strikeouts. One of them is Coastal Carolina, 5 shot, 11 Ks, 1 walk. USC Upstate, that's a good mid-major. 6 innings, 1 earned, 12 Ks, no walks. And he looks good. He looks dominant. That fastball is flirting with triple digits. And his secondaries have been unbelievable. And like Ole Miss has talent on offense. They have power. But just the level of consistency Riojas and Texas have been playing with right now and the depth in the bullpen that they have, I'd almost say I'm betting Texas minus 220 straight up, which I'd really have to love something to do that. But I think Texas is a great parlay piece. I think they win the series. I think there's a good chance that they could sweep the series. And I think Texas, along with aligns with somebody like a USM, is a solid leg in a parlay. I tell you that. By the way, why is Texas still 12-1 in some places? Well, they just got bet down to 11-1 on FanDuel. There might be a 12-1 on Bet Rivers, but if you're 10-1 or bigger, like, why is that? Like, a lot of these books the last week or so have adjusted and got them down under 10-1.
Your guess is as good as mine. I think it takes a while for the books to reset with the futures. In the past couple of years, it seems like there's an obvious, best team, and it just takes a little bit for the futures to settle. That's part of the reason why I don't send a ton of futures out before the season, because I know that a lot of the odds are still going to be, favorable after seeing some of these teams play. So I kind of like to take that free time to see these teams play first.
If you haven't gotten anything on Texas and you're still getting 11-1, 12-1, this is the time, because if they rattle off, let's check their schedule quick. If they start rattling off, series win after series win in these next couple weeks, they're going to be down to like 7-1. I mean, they got Ole Miss and Auburn. I mean, it's no gimme, but say they win the series against Ole Miss and Auburn. I mean, they're going to continue to get crushed and steamed down. So it's time to buy now. All right, Kansas at Texas Tech. This is an interesting one. I'd actually be very curious to hear your thoughts on why Texas Tech is a minus 210 favorite.
It's a good question. The thing is, I don't believe in either team here. I think this could go either way, but I think I believe in Kansas less. I'm not a big believer in Texas Tech. Kansas has really struggled to start this season. Like, this is one I just want to stay far away from. It's one where I agree. I don't think Texas Tech should be minus 210, but I also don't trust either team to play well in this game. And I'm just going to stay far away from it.
Kansas burned me week 1. Night 1, Dom Vagley crushed me against UT RGV. But I got to tell you, Dom Vagley's not starting this one. It's going to be Mason Cook. And Mason Cook, he's been fine. 3.6 ERA, 13 Ks, 5 walks, 15 innings. He hasn't given much length. But I can't believe Kansas is plus 160 against Texas Tech. Like, Texas Tech isn't throwing out some stud. Lucas Perko's decent, but he's gotten off to a bad start. 5.31 ERA, just gave up 5 earned to Penn State last week. Gave up 5 earned opening week against Vanderbilt. Why is this guy a minus 210 favorite? Like, the offense has gotten off to a good start. Like, they got some guys that are doing well, but again, we haven't seen a big enough sample size. So, in my opinion, while Texas Tech's aesthetics look good offensively, like Caden Ferraro's got 2 home runs, batting .430. You got Robin Villanueva, former Tennessee Volunteer. He's got 6 home runs, batting .367. You got a couple guys with 4 home runs. Like, yeah, they're swinging it. It's just not good enough, in my opinion, to be this big of a number. Like, Mason Cook is solid. I gave a shot out on Kansas at plus 160. I don't agree with this. I think realistically, this should be closer to a minus 115 pick'em. I think Kansas is worth the shot. Texas, yeah, that's definitely would be hammering that too. All right, TCU, Arizona State. TCU plus 180 with Mason Brassfield at Arizona State and Cole Carlin. So the question I have for you, even with Cole Carlin on the mound, should Arizona State be this big of a favorite?
I don't think this big. once again, if I were to pick the team to win, I would probably pick Arizona State in this one. I don't think they should be that big of favorites, but I do think they're the better team. It was kind of like actually when they played Arizona midweek, they were like minus 230 favorites. And once again, I thought they would win. I just didn't like that number. This same idea. I think they'll win. I just don't like that number. TCU is more than capable of putting together a good game. So once again, I'm staying far away from this game.
I've gotten burned so many times, especially last year on Arizona State. Cole Carlin's been really good. He was doing really good against Mississippi State before he got hurt, and then it just kind of unraveled. But I mean, he's looked great. He really has, even if his overall box score doesn't suggest it. But 230, it's ridiculous, especially with the bullpen like that. Even at home, I don't care. It's absolutely ludicrous. Now, TCU, unfortunately, got some bad news this week, and it's disappointing because I like TCU coming into the year. I thought they were going to be a good team, and I really like Tommy Laporte, Big 12 Pitcher of the Year caliber. He's going to miss at least another eight weeks, maybe 10. It looks like he's probably not going to come back for the regular season, or if he does, it's going to be like with 1 or 2 weeks left. Mason Brassfield has been solid, but I think we could both agree Mason Brassfield is not a Friday night guy. This is a guy with some swing and miss. He's got some good stuff, but command eludes him sometimes. He doesn't go deep into games. I don't think he's gone past 5 innings yet. And the offense has some talented players, but the depth in the lineup's been a little bit questionable. Like they have Lucas Franco and Sawyer Strohsnyder and Chase Brunson. Noah Franco's still out. So there's some question marks there. And then the factor like Cole Carlin lefty against lefty and Franco and lefty and Sawyer Strohsnyder. That plays a factor. Regardless, I think plus 180 is too big. I don't know if I'm going to make it official, but I think a sprinkle on TCU is fair. If you're getting a 2.5 run line, maybe I'd play it that way. It's just I don't think I trust Arizona State enough, even with Cole Carlin on the mound, to be laying this big of a number. All right, John, I'll let you start here. Any other games that you're keeping an eye on? There's quite a few that we left off the main board here.
Yeah, so a couple. I think ULL against South Alabama. They're minus 195, pretty juiced. But I think they win that game. I also think if you want to parlay that with something, go ahead. Maybe Texas or Florida on the money line against South Carolina, I think is a good look. Another one, California against UNC. California is plus 170. UNC had to travel across the country for this game. They just dropped a series to Virginia at home. California has been playing well to start this season. I think California plus 170 is a good look there. And then, 2 others that we didn't talk about, UNLV minus 166 against Air Force. UNLV is off to a really good start. Air Force has 3 wins this season. And I like UNLV there. And then Oklahoma State, UCF. Oklahoma State on the road, minus 115. I'm not a big believer in UCF. I'm not a massive believer in Oklahoma State either, but I do think they're a much better team against UCF, even though they're on the road there.
Okay. I agree with you with Cal. I was disgusted by what I saw from UNC last week. Disgusted. Like, look, man, let's call it what it is. Virginia's a good team. My boy Mikey Shep, Liberty. We'll get to that and your boy Ben Blair in a second. Let's call it what it is. UNC coming into the year had legitimately a top 5 pitching staff, maybe top 3 overall, front to back. The offense took a big hit because they lost a lot of guys to the draft. So there's some assimilation, some new guys coming in. But last week, it was a just dismantling by UVA. And let's not forget, Chris Pollard ran a great program at Duke. He brought a lot of the guys over with him from Duke to UVA. Mainly AJ Gracia, a guy who we're probably going to see in the top 10 in July. But just the non-competitive nature that we saw from North Carolina, like maybe they shake it off this week. DeCarroll comes back, has a better start. I know some errors and some bad defense got him early in that game last week, but, they got lucky they didn't get swept. What was it? It was like a miracle on Sunday, right? That they had to come back and in order to avoid the sweep. They got thoroughly outplayed. And like you said, Cal has been good. This is a big travel spot. DeCaro's a little shaky right now. No guarantee he comes out there and dots or UNC comes out and scores some runs. So I got to say, bro, I'm with you on the Cal. I think that's interesting. That's definitely worth the sprinkle. The Florida parlay piece, absolutely. Oklahoma State, I feel like that's solid. One game that you didn't mention that I did want to at least address. I'm trying to find it. Bear with me 1 second. I'm sorry. Mike, I promise we'll get to Liberty, buddy. I promise. All right, there it is. Arizona, Utah. Should be Owen Kramkowski against Coulter McNally. That is a very big, heavyweight Big 12 pitching fight. Look, man, Arizona has come back to life after just a horrendous start. But they're going against Coulter McNally, who is probably one of the most underrated stars in college baseball. Now, Utah itself's not a great team, but Coulter McNally going, especially against an offense that's been very, I don't want to say non-existent because they've come alive lately, but it's been very tepid, to say the least. I think I like Utah plus 110 here. At home, with a stud going in Coulter McNally, a guy who can completely take over a game against Owen Kramkowski, which, look, man, we know Kramkowski's good, but it hasn't been an amazing start to the year. It's had some struggles. Like, this is a guy, if Kramkowski goes out there against Utah, goes 5 innings, gives up 2 or 3 runs, Coulter McNally might go out there and throw 6 shutty, and then now you're in trouble. And I just don't know if Arizona's got the back-end pieces, especially with Tony Pluta out, to really shut down the end of a game. So I think at home plus money with what a case you could make is the better pitcher. I like Utah in this one. I think it's at least worth a shot.
Yeah, I like that one. I was looking at that one as well.
All right, Mike. I know you wanted to talk about this one. Talk me through Liberty here. You got Liberty at home against Mizzou State. That's a good matchup. Our guy Caden Bogenpole against Ben Blair of Liberty, absolute hoss. You liking Liberty or you like Mizzou State?
I'm staying away from this game just because I think it's going to be such a good game. I mean, Missouri State.
No. My boy Mike brought it up. You got to bring it up. You got to at least give me some sort of a decision here.
I mean, I was originally thinking Missouri State, but they haven't been playing well lately. They got off to the hotter start. But Liberty has been playing well pretty much all season. So I guess I'd go Liberty at home, but I think this line is spot on with a pick 'em.
I agree. But Mikey, I think I'm with you here. Liberty at home with Ben Blair going, who is a monster. Back-to-back double-digit punchy performances against a team that can swing it with Missouri State. Pick 'em price. I'm with you, buddy. We'll go Liberty there. C. Smith, what's your best parlay piece for a 2-leg with Texas? So if we're going with Texas as the main piece, I mean, if you're going with anything, that's, I think, Florida against South Carolina. Florida lost to High Point, and it's taking nothing away from High Point. High Point's a solid mid-major. Like, they can sneak up on you, especially SEC. We saw got rinsed across the board last week. It might have been a look-ahead spot for a lot of these teams. Florida coming back. I think this one's at home. Liam Peterson needs a much better performance. I think Florida here with Texas is a good piece. You want to get a little bit riskier? I do like Georgia with the minus 180 as well. Also like Southern Miss. So I'd probably rank it as Florida, Southern Miss, Georgia.
Yeah, Florida's exactly who I would choose. I'm actually going to run that parlay, Florida, Texas, and that's going to be my favorite 2-legger of the day.
What's the odds on that?
It's 315 and 220, I want to say, which I didn't do math. Should be around minus 110, minus 120. Yeah, 315 and 220.
I think that's a fair look. One more I wanted to bring up. So last week on our show, Virginia Tech was at Georgia Tech, and
Minus 110.
so I thought Virginia was worth a shot because Virginia Tech was worth a shot because Brett Renfro was projected to pitch or was supposed to pitch. I think they held him back. They ultimately pitched off and went with the freshman because there was rain in the forecast and they didn't want to burn him in a potential rain delay. If Brett Renfro goes against Virginia Tech or Virginia in the in-state rivalry, Virginia Tech with Brett Renfro on the mound at plus 420 is insane. I don't care how good Virginia has been playing. I would definitely be taking a piece on Virginia Tech if Brett Renfro is going. I'm gonna put that caveat in there. They're at least worth a look, if not the first 5. I think that's a big number if you got Renfro going. Just putting that out there. We got one more comment as well. What games and numbers are we waiting to see? What totals to come out as to play the unders? That's fair.
I know I've got 3 games that I think I'm going to play the unders immediately. As long as they're not under 9, is UCSB, UC Davis.
Okay. Florida.
Jackson, Florida, exactly. And UC Davis has been playing super low scoring games. UC Irvine, Cal State Fullerton. I didn't realize Fullerton has also been playing super low scoring games. Like it seems like every game that they've played has been low scoring. And then we know Irvine is a good bullpen. And then Michigan, UCLA, I think would be a good look, depending on that number. Michigan, they've got a good Friday night guy. Redmond's good for UCLA. I think that'll be low scoring as well.
Curious to see what the total is going to be for Oregon State, San Diego.
Yeah. I was looking at that one as well. That's not one that I'm going to play no matter what when it comes out, but I was looking at that one.
I'm curious because it just Dax Whitney's been a menace. He's been demonic as predicted. So, and we know Oregon State doesn't like to score a whole lot. So I'd probably be interested in that one. Let's see. Florida it is. Thanks. Yeah, look, man, I got the haircut. I got the gel in the hair. Backward tap will be in and out occasionally, but trying to let the flow go here. Miss State versus Arkansas, 11.5 or 12. I think I'm probably staying away from that total. I'm not jumping at a total for that one, or at least I got to do a little bit more research on that one. So for now, that's a stay away.
Yeah, I agree completely. This is one that I wrote down, but not one that I'm going to jump at as soon as it comes out.
Yeah. But that'll do it. Under an hour as well. That's our goal every week. Really appreciate you guys for tuning in. John, as always, great stuff. Appreciate you being here, my man. And we'll lock it in next time. Thanks a lot, Todd. Appreciate it. Best of luck this weekend, guys. Let's get off to the right start tomorrow night. Let's roll.